Welcome to Freedom Under Natural Law Conference 2. Convergence, Unity, Focus, Action. Thank you, everyone, today for being here for the conference. Your presence online is appreciated. Together we can win the spiritual war on planet Earth. In the name of love and light. This is thirdEyeForeSight.com. Presentation presenting The Demonic Manipulation of Language. Part 3a. The narrative discourse of the beast system. The beast system is the fall of humanity. Why are humans attached to the beast system? What is narrative discourse? Definition. A narrative discourse is a discourse that is an account of events, usually in the past, that employs verbs of speech, motion, and action to describe a series of events that are contingent one on another, and that typically focuses on one or more performers of actions. History is written by the winners. The ruling powers dictate their version of history and erase the history of their human slaves. The losers and the destitute are not the writers of history. To keep the slaves from ever remembering their power to rise from the ashes, the rulers erase the memory of the true history of humankind and recreate a new version of history. They create a false narrative of self-identity to keep the human mesmerized in a fictional history of limitations and savagery, who their ancestors were, who they are now because of who their ancestors once were, and whom the future generation will become because of who they are now. A quote from George Orwell's novel 1984, "Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past." History was edited and rewritten to give a false version of the past to control the destiny of the future human. The false version of history is to give the current human an illusion that this reality in the present has always been this way. Thus the demonic rulers control the present with false narrative discourse to manipulate the minds of their slaves into accepting the false memory of their history that things have always been this way and that is their lot in life to learn to accept their limitations, to work hard, and to be a happy obedient slave with things the way it is. George Orwell saw the decline in the English language variety and complexity to be correlated with a decline in critical thinking skills, which he believed were being used to manipulate people. His novel 1984 is an allegory of a dystopian society in which its citizens live their lives in fear of Big Brother, the totalitarian government. The plot follows Winston Smith, a man living in London and working at the Ministry of Truth in the year 1984. In his line of work, he changes history and timeline, erasing words or narrative that does not fit the discourse of Big Brother. The government monitors everything with surveillance technology and thought police, but the government still desires total control of the citizens' thoughts, feelings, and actions. The government uses the power of language to stop critical thinking, doublethink and newspeak. The government promotes the doublethink narrative to program the citizens to accept contradiction and to love their slaveries. What is the definition of doublethink? Orwell's definition: doublethink means the power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously, and accepting both of them. Examples of what doublethink looks like in 1984. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. The Ministry of Truth edits history and promotes doublethink to people to accept contradiction as the only mental institution that knows what is right. Part 3b. The government invented a new language called newspeak to achieve total control of the thoughts and feelings of their citizens. What is the definition of newspeak? Newspeak is the language created to limit the use of language. The revising and deleting of words to comply with certain limited perceptions and with certain narrative discourse is a thought control to mind control the population into a boxed narrative discourse. What is the purpose of newspeak in 1984? The goal of newspeak is to limit the speaker's ability to critically think or form any ideas that go against the party. It is made up of an extremely small amount of vocabulary and much simpler grammar rules that only allow for the basic expression of thoughts. The simpler everyone's thoughts are, the easier it is for the party to control them. The party recognizes that words have power, which is why they try to manipulate the thoughts of their citizens by changing the language to newspeak. Thoughts can become a crime if the thoughts are not in compliance with the language of newspeak. Newspeak consists of very thorough and thought-out rules and vocabulary, so there is no room for the citizens' minds to wander. This includes different classes for vocabulary and simplified grammatical rules. The vocabulary is constantly changing, though, to eliminate words that may be seen as criminal or may encourage free thought. Newspeak, in 1984, is designed to diminish the range of thought. If something cannot be said, then it cannot be thought. Examples of what it looks like: sex crime, having sex for enjoyment or to create a family of your own. Sex is only appropriate when performed to produce offspring for the party. Crime, think, to even consider any thought, not in line with the principles of the party. Thought crime, to commit the crime of illegal thought. Joy camp, forced labor camp. Unperson, a person that has been completely erased from existence and history by the government for breaking the law in some way. What does George Orwell's Newspeak look like in our use of the English language? Our Newspeak, examples of mind controlling our thought with Newspeak, what it looks like. 1. Inheritance tax, Newspeak. Death tax. 2. Body bag, Newspeak. Human remains pouches, transfer tubes. 3. System of government, Newspeak. Regime. 4. Freedom fighter, Newspeak. Insurgent. 5. Invasion, Newspeak. Preemptive strike, intervention. 6. Invade, Newspeak. Liberate. 7. Torture, Newspeak. Physical persuasion. 8. Peace, Newspeak. Pre-hostility. 9. Bomb, Newspeak. Aerial ordnance. 10. Mercenaries, Newspeak. Security contractors. 11. Killing, Newspeak. Servicing the target. 12. Used, Newspeak. Pre-owned. 13. Political rebel, Newspeak. Terrorist. 14. Against unjust edict, Newspeak. Extremist. 15. Critical thinking, Newspeak. Hate speech. 16. Voicing opposition, Newspeak. Hate speech. 17. Non-compliance, Newspeak. Selfish. 18. Individual rights, Newspeak. Selfish. 19. Right to freedom, Newspeak. Selfish asshole. 20. Anarchy, Newspeak. Chaos. 21. Sovereign right, Newspeak. White supremacist. 22. Government extortion, Newspeak. Taxation. 23. Extortion money, Newspeak. Ticket. 24. Control movement, Newspeak. License to drive. 25. Stealing real estate, Newspeak. Environmental preservation. 26. Microchipping, Newspeak. Vaccine passport. 27. Control human cattle, Newspeak. Health and safety. Our Newspeak is designed to desensitize our emotions and demoralize our ability to think clearly regarding what objective morality is. Part 4a. The language game of life. Words have the power to manipulate our thoughts. It can cast a spell to modify our behavior or desensitize our ability to feel concerning demonic action being done against us or toward others. Francis Bacon organized the New English language for the New Atlantis, referring to America. English is the #1 language used around the world, and it is the most powerful spellcasting language. How does spellcasting work in the English language for demonic manipulation? For example, the word good. Good is the word in itself that has multiple meanings and has relative meaning to different people when used in a certain situation. The word good is not clear as to what kind of good, and it triggers relative meanings in different people. Its relative meanings depend on the syntax arrangement of what is good. Good can mean someone who is a good citizen because they are compliant with man-made laws. Good can mean a good moral person. Good can mean when something pleases you or an action that you are doing well in, then it is all good. When a person says, "I am a good person," most of the time, it means the conduct of being a good person that never bothers anyone in regards to complying with the daily function of life, like paying the bills on time and buying things for others. In confronting people about their moral conduct, ask them, "Are you a good person?" In their mind, without hesitation, they would say yes according to the standard of what is good in their mind. A hitman can claim that he is good at eliminating his target and he is a good father to his children. In confronting people about their moral conduct, ask them, "Are you a virtuous person?" With hesitation in mind, they would be confused and conflicted because the word virtue is clear that actions are required in the world. The word virtuous, adjective, virtuous means having or showing high moral standards. Virtue can never be the language that complies with government control. The word alone will create a narrative discourse. Government control can never be about objective morality, and the word virtue cannot be part of the political narrative because it will cause critical thoughts. Government is about mind control, and mind control cannot be conflicted with critical thoughts. The government uses the word good because the word good can mediate action between their edicts, which are mostly artificial laws, and a person's morals, which could be relative morals. Dispelling the spell of words when asking them, "Are you a person that lives by virtue?" The question triggers their higher mind to think about their soul. The higher mind journey to the soul. The narrative discourse of the soul is outside the norms of discussion for most cultural religions. In a sense, for most mainstream narratives, discourse regarding the principles of objective morality would sound abnormal and awkward. The moral lesson of cultural religions is about being good, honest, and kind to others only on issues deemed to be for the slaves class, which is almost everyone on planet Earth. When the moral lesson should apply to the government and their actions, the cultural religions are silent. It would sound abnormal and awkward if one confronts cultural religions regarding objective morality and truth, because religions are the government. Therefore, the word good can be part of our newspeak language that encompasses mostly all conducts that comply with government standards of being good and honest slaves. The sole question to confront your character is, are you living a good life or are you living a virtuous life? That is the sole question of whether you care about doing the right moral action or not. This is the language of the higher self. Part 4b. The language of the higher mind. The deconstruction of our narrative discourse, good versus evil. The word evil, the meaning is a clear reference to being a wicked, dark-hearted villain, an action that leads to suffering in the world, or a being of demonic darkness. The etymology of the word good in this context. The etymology of good, adjective, is, good means, fit, belonging together. A good person can be a passive feather in the wind, a watcher of the existing evil establishment, and an action complying with artificial laws. According to the establishment, you are a good person. When you are in this mental mindset, the demonic power has a spell over you because this is exactly where they want you to be, a passive observer and take no action. When you live by good, you take no action, you fit in well together, belonging together with the demonic force running this world. The reward of letting evil run its course is doing evil a favor by being a good citizen of the state. Being good requires your compliance with government policy and edicts, and, no, objective moral action is required of you. The simplicity of the word good can mean you are a responsible parent that feeds, shelter, and give emotional support for your good. Most evil psychopaths take care of their young, which make them good person too. When asked if they are a virtuous person, no, they are not, because virtue does not allow room for evil. To be a virtue requires the action of living by the principles of objective morality. The vibration meaning of the word virtue requires action to elevate one consciousness to a higher mind, the higher self. The higher self requires the mind to think about their action in the why and the who. The narrative discourse of virtue is not a popular discussion in mainstream cultural religions. As I have shown you that we live in a world of idiocracy, and cultural religions are to keep people under their spell. Good versus evil is really about being passive compliant citizens versus the evil establishment. Good is about thinking about the nature of survival and compliance of how, who, what, where, and when. A cop can be a good cop when he is following the order of his command to arrest child trafficking crossing the border, but a cop can never be a virtuous person because of the simple fact that these people are living on their based instinctual nature and not their higher self. In other words, they can be good at living in the how, who, what, where, and when, but they have no conscious willpower to live in the why and who. Do you see the difference here? The same cop that arrests child trafficking can extort your money or take away your ability to defend yourself. Also, on a side note, the root causes of child trafficking are government organizations. The low-ranking file agents and the lowlife of the earth are the ones procuring children for the ruling psychopaths and the celebrities. The police agents are the ones protecting and defending the establishment of child trafficking. The religious establishment will never propagate objective morality and virtue, as in virtue versus evil. Virtue is about thinking in the causal way of self-reflection of your life review of who you are. It creates a connection to the higher self. Cultural religions are about keeping you in servitude to claim mental ownership over you. Religious superstitions will lose control over your mind if you act on principles of moral truth because you will find your higher self. George Orwell's novel 1984. Don't you see that the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought? In the end we shall make thought crime literally impossible, because there will be no words in which to express it. Every concept that can ever be needed will be expressed by exactly one word, with its meaning rigidly defined and all its subsidiary meanings rubbed out and forgotten. Every year fewer and fewer words, and the range of consciousness always a little smaller. George Orwell's novel 1984. Don't you see that the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought? In the end we shall make thought crime literally impossible, because there will be no words in which to express it. Every concept that can ever be needed will be expressed by exactly one word, with its meaning rigidly defined and all its subsidiary meanings rubbed out and forgotten. Every year fewer and fewer words, and the range of consciousness always a little smaller. What is? Every year fewer and fewer words, and the range of consciousness always a little smaller, look like. If words become fewer and fewer to express, in case you do not understand the point. Fewer words. What would it look like in the future about 400 years from now? Probably look something like this. Like on Planet of the Apes, apes together strong. Fewer words can look like this. For example, the everyday expression, me yes, me no, we like, we no like. For instance, this is what one sentence line would have multiple meanings. Yo do. Be like. Me yes. This one line could mean you like someone or something, could mean you want something, could mean you take something, could mean you ask for something, could mean you are going somewhere, could mean you tell someone you're feeling, etc. To make things easier, multiple choice languages, pick your selection of Emojimo. Once the minds are hooked into the hive mind internet of all things, the minds become cyborg slaves with limited expression. Cultural religions are about keeping you in servitude to claim mental ownership over you. Religious superstitions will lose control over your mind if you act on principles of moral truth because you will find your higher self.